Welcome to episode 138 of The Numbers Game. I'm Jason. I'm here with Nick and Marty. How are we going today, fellas?
Going well, thanks, Jace. This is the finale for the season. So I'm absolutely up and about today, and I'm pumped because I wanted to make it really big this episode, and you're going to be talking about accountancy stuff? Is that where we're heading for the finale? Is that where we're going, mate?
I'm sorry to do it to you, but we are, Nico. I'm Nico, Marty. Oh, geez, I've lost the plot. It's all happening. It's been a good season. It's been, I think it's season, I don't know, it's season 10, season 9. I've lost track, but I know it's 138 because we counted them one by one because we are numbers people. I had my accountant calculator out and was punching it all in. So 138, which means we'll come back for one more season. Maybe before end of year, we'll maybe raise the bat at 150 if we're allowed to do that, Marty. It'll be exciting times. What do you reckon, Nick?
I saw Marty smile when you said maybe raise the bat. He was a good cricketer back in his day. Oh. Very good cricketer. Not many people know that. Comedian and very good
cricketer. Is there anything you can't do, Marty?
Oh, lots of things, mate. It's pretty much down to jokes and hit and runs. That's about it.
Two really handy skills to have, mate. Makes you a very likeable person.
Oh, no. Thanks, mate.
Run scorer and funny. What a catch.
You got it. Same time, usually.
Could imagine the sledging coming from Marty when he's out on the field. Holy moly.
I used to love sledging. Like, it's...
What was your best? Give us your best sledge.
Oh, the best one was this... Now, I don't want to fat shame anyone, but there was this chunky guy that played for Launching Place. I'll never forget it. Big fella. And I was pretty slim at the time. Now I sort of feel a bit empathetic towards him. But and he had scored a lot of runs, and he was marking out his crease. And you know, when the shirt's a bit tight, it sort of lifts, and you get to see a bit of the back buttock area. And I don't know where it come from, but I said, put a coin in it, it might play a song, and it was. And I got the attention of him, so I put him off. But for the next probably 2 minutes, no one could field. Everyone was like just, and I don't know where they came from, but it was just, I used to love copping it, but I used to love giving it because I used to field in second slip. So it was just great. I've just been called everything under the sun, from straight out F-wit to, you know. Just incredible stuff. Cricket, there's nothing like it. Footy's good, but there's less sledging, I find, in footy because you're on the go a lot more of the time, whereas you've got a bit of dull space to fill in cricket, so you get some really good stuff from people.
No, mate, you're making me miss the cricket days. Well, there was a reason we were called the Numbers Game. We all said we like sport and we like numbers. So, you know, great to bring in a bit of sporting banter at the start of this. Guys, before we crack into what I want to talk about with accounting, hopefully we haven't lost too many of our listeners yet with the idea of talking about accounting, but I promise it's a little bit more in depth than that. So do stick around. This episode's brought to you by Future Advisory, the lovely tax and advisory team at Future Advisory, always willing to help business owners and individuals sort their tax problems and, you know, get their advice sorted to have the right structure and the right plans heading into the future. If you want to have a chat with the team, www.futureadvisory.com.au. Check it out. So, guys, I wanted to start off this broad conversation, and mostly I'm focusing around the shortage of accountants in Australia and what that means and why we've gotten to this point, and then digging a little deeper in holistically as to, you know, why we do what we do and how we ended up in the jobs we have. So, Nick, I wanted to throw to you first and ask you this question. Do you love your job?
Yes.
Cool. Good start. Thrown you on the spot. Didn't really pre-plan this. So
no, you didn't. No, there was a pause because I had to have a quick think about what I actually did.
Okay. Do you love what you do, and do you want to explain what it is, and then why? What is it that gets you to actually be able to enjoy what you do?
I love the journey and where we're heading. There's times I don't like the tasks, to be completely transparent, and I'm only thinking about this because of your accounting comment at the start, and I'm thinking, well, you know, for me, yes, you do a job every day, and at times that job's not fun, but what is the journey and where you're trying to get to? And that's quite easy as for a business owner because you've got generally a business plan and somewhere you're heading. But I can see if it was just the tasks without the journey, I'm not sure I'd love it, to be honest. And I think maybe that's the issue with accounting, and I'm just spitballing here.
No.
But in saying that, 80% of what I do love. But there are times you're like, shit, really? I have to do this again.
And how would you for what your business provides to people, would you put it into words as to what you do? So like, what do you provide for people?
Yeah, so it's no secret that we are financial services. So we, financial planning and mortgages, and also business lending. But if I think about what we really do, this might sound corny, but on the mortgage side, you make dreams come true. And I think that's where the fulfillment comes for a lot of our staff. They're putting people into their first home or their dream home or their first investment property. And I think about financial planning. So I think a lot of our financial planners will look at the tasks involved and what they do day to day, and some of it would be mundane. But the reality is they're making dreams come true. They're helping people retire. They're giving people comfort around retirement, and they're helping people generate wealth. So that's where they're finding their purpose, and I think why they would love their job and stick around. So I think there's sometimes you've got to separate, well, for me anyway, the actual task every day, and then what purpose are you actually fulfilling? And I think with every job there'd be mundane tasks that you don't like, but you just got to get them done.
Yep. No, very good. I'm glad you took it on that angle, because I think that's very important where I wanted to go to. And then Marty, give you the opportunity to do the same thing. Do you love your job? And then what is it that you do, and why do you love it?
Yeah, I think Nick explained it really well. I've always said we've got the best job in the world if banks weren't involved, but we need the banks, right? Like, I would love to have an endless stream of capital that we could give to people to support those dreams, whether it's buying a business, whether it's buying, it all starts with their first home, whether they want to build an investment portfolio. So to me, the love is that ability to support someone through that process. The logistical stuff we have to do in order to deal with the banks, I just see that as red tape that we need to do that. But you got to delegate those components out so you can enjoy the very element of why you're doing what you do and why you enjoy doing what you do. But that's probably the best way to describe it for me.
Awesome. Love it. I started to talk about this. So to give context to the background of this, at the XeroCon conference a few weeks ago, there was a presentation by Will Buckley, who's the national manager of the Australian arm of Xero. And then on top of that, there's countless articles coming out, Accountants Daily, CPA, CA, news.com.au, all the different things, just saying, accountants are leaving the industry in masses. And then also the data shows that we've got the least amount of students in accounting degrees than we've ever had before. Like, the numbers are just dramatically plummeting. And I started to think about why, because I'm involved with Xero's Partner Advisory Council. I'm involved with the CPA in the Public Practice Committee, and we talk about how to solve these problems and how we got here. And basically, to put it in perspective, I think accountants have done a very bad job at branding themselves and how we talk about ourselves over the years. So if you thought about how to describe an accountant or was an accountant, a lot of people say they're number crunchers. It's somebody who lodges a tax return, or, accountants are boring. Stereotypically, accountants are boring people. And they're all some of the things I've heard over the years of describing that. Now, before I go into, some of the contributing factors to the shortages, I just wanted to talk about 3 quick stories about why I love my job and why I love the accounting profession. And whether, even when I was an employee working in accounting firms, right up to now, owning one and getting to do what I do, I see it more not as number crunching, it's well and truly beyond that. And, Nick, channeling what you said around, helping people achieve their dreams, helping people get into that first home. And being an accountant, effectively, Will shared this in his presentation, which I'll go into a little bit detail, but he talked about accountants being financial storytellers. Now, as a financial storyteller, the power that we have as accountants who are gifted with numbers, who can translate a P&L and a balance sheet, is the ability to tell a story to a business owner about what they need to do more of or less of, spend some money, save some money, taxes and how to get around them. There's a heap of things to get through. And one of the biggest things that happens in especially in our country, is regulation change. There's always rule changes, what you can buy, how much assets can you write off. It's changes all the time, and it's impossible to keep up with. But 3 quick stories I was going to say, that happens in my day-to-day life. We signed a new client a few weeks ago. They're talking about, getting their business finances sorted, getting their tax returns lodged. They want to buy their dream property. And this dream property is a farm for their family. It's going to be, an asset they'll probably hold for hundreds of years in their family going forward. And their business is just all of a sudden turned a corner and booming. And is one day, hopefully now we've gone from maybe they might exit for 5 million one day down the track. Now we're talking about exiting for 20 million and helping this family get the loan they need to secure this property. Now I get to be a pivotal person in this position to help them achieve that dream. And without us, I dare say, they may not have had the coaching and the mentoring and the connections to be able to get it completely done. Second client example was an electrical company that got themselves in a bit of strife. They had $700,000 in debt. We were able to wipe $550,000 of debt through a small business restructure. And now this business is going to absolutely be flying and back up and running. And all of that will be a thing of the past due to, COVID and different things that went wrong over COVID. Now, when the phone rings and I get the phone call from, the husband and wife going, "You've changed our lives. Thank you so much." That's something an accountant gets to do. And the last one's just, having a small business owner start a business and be able to guide them through the journey to their first invoice, their first employee, their, having a zero accounting system and having a life that they can be proud of, to spend more time with their family and kids without stressing about how their business is running because they know they've got an accountant or an advisor on their side. Now, all of that sounds pretty good to me. And I don't know about you guys. Is that what you'd think would be the day in a life of an accountant doing those kind of things? Well, stereotypically?
You've got good functions you get to go to too at Xero, and it's next level types of weekends away from what I remember accountancy to be. But I think what you're explaining there is the same thrill we get in the advice piece, and I think accountants are in a really unique situation because you get to see what businesses are doing well in your own ecosystem, and and not that you ever give away names or intel, but at least you can share general advice even to be able to support business owners going through their growth journeys. I think that's paramount in this day and age. To me, the tax return itself is probably 2/8 of the final stage of getting to that point. So to me, I see there's a big opportunity there for people to really become accountancy advisors. And I know certainly from my background, when an accountant comes to me with a proactive strategy, it's incredible because all of a sudden I'm getting insight to something I would never know on my own accord to what's happening on policy and policy changes and various things that I could be claiming, or here's something you could utilize. How would you go about that? So, because sometimes if you know what the parameters are, you can then do something about that proactively. But if you don't know, you don't know what to do. So to me, having a proactive accountant that's an advisor is paramount. And I'm just throwing it back to you, Jace, as well, is going, well, how does someone that's an employee accountant position themselves to be relevant? Is it the size of business that they're looking after that matches the skill set? Maybe it's the business is domiciled with the individual accountant that could be more that advisor piece. I think that's paramount, and that's the way forward. Nick, any other thoughts on that?
I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking of who's leaving the industry, and my assumption is it's not people like yourself, Jace. It's maybe people that are doing those more mundane tasks. So I was actually going to put it back to you as well and just say, well, why are people leaving? If obviously there's an ability to be part of people's growth journey, whether it's business or personal, and get really fulfilled from seeing people do better. But for whatever reason, people are still leaving the industry, and I just wonder why.
Good question. So putting it into a bit of context, so you think the last couple of years is where a lot of the drama has kind of unfolded, or a lot of the movement of moving industries. Think back to COVID. COVID, when that happened, the government drove everything through an accounting firm. If you wanted JobKeeper, you had to talk to an accountant. If you wanted ATO cash flow boost, you had to make sure your accounting was done right with your accountant. There was countless government grants. Most people had to go to an accountant for a letter or some kind of advice. So all of a sudden, we're in the midst of the world's worst global pandemic that our generation's ever been through. And all of the traffic was directed to accountants who all of a sudden were working from home by themselves, isolated in a bedroom with limited support and most likely underpaid and overworked for that entire period. I know a lot of the big four did pay freezes and stopped, didn't pay them. If anything, I think they put them on 75% pay for what would have been like 150% of the work. So a lot of accountants have moved to seek less stressful industries with lighter workloads and fewer overtime hours. So, and that's one of the biggest draw cards in accounting is you can get a job as, in-house or doing management accounting at a bigger company where, you're paid most likely a little bit better and your hours are better as well. So you don't have the stress or the pressures of managing multiple clients and multiple demands and multiple deadlines. The other ones, like, as I said, the changing regulations, it's always changing. We're constantly having to be on top of changing rules, home office, so, nothing, GST doesn't change those. So that's the one constant factor that we've talked about. But there's all these ongoing regulation changes. So that's, and I think effectively it's getting to a point of burnout where like so many accountants over the last couple of years are burnt out. But then what happens then from the top dripping down or from a public perception point of view is no mum and dad accountants are going home telling their kids how awesome being an accountant is, right? Like, so, when you think, kids growing up look at their parents and go, yeah, I want to be like mum and dad. I want to do that job. If we've got an industry full of burnt out, tired, angry accountants, frustrated with the industry, underpaid, overworked, they're sure as shit not going home inspiring their kids to want to be accountants one day. And I think that's one of the big issues, and that's not the be all and end all. The other kind of issue that I can see there as well, which is kind of posing an effect, but not as much in what I'm talking about, is retirements. The average age of an accounting firm owner is well and truly over 55. So majority of accounting firm parcels of fees out there are owned by somebody much closer to retirement age than somebody who wants to be running a business for the next 10 or 20 years. So when you're looking for longevity in a career and a place where you can work your way up and build a good career, a lot of these places are, they're shutting down, their fees are shifting, they're selling to organizations that are not what you thought you were going to be working for when you took your job. So there's a myriad of factors. And ultimately, what I'm trying to get it back to is why do people become accountants? Why do they do it? And how do we continue as an industry on my side working with Xero and CPA to make accounting sexy again or make accounting interesting? I mean, from the outside world looking at the accounting industry, would you guys promote it and say it's a great job and people should do it?
No. And don't take that personally.
No, that's just what I want to get to.
Yeah, I just see a lot of the accountants that we deal with always seem to be super busy. And I guess busy a lot of times means stressed and short-staffed, which, obviously that's what we're talking about. So for me, I'd look at accounting and I go, geez, most of the accountants I know are under the pump and always stressed. So why would you want to do that? So that's my initial response is no. But at the same time, I look at it and go, well, if there's an industry where you want to make sure or be sure you've always got work and there's opportunity to make good money, and there's undersupply of people and undersupply of really good talent, you probably got a really good opportunity to make some good money. So at the same time, I'd go, well, if you can deal with the stress and find a way to navigate it, the opportunity is probably awesome. So yeah, that's probably where I'm at with it.
Very good.
Yeah, and I'm sort of thinking in regards to how to reinvigorate the opportunity. Like I'm thinking, how do these younger accountants come in and play some form of that feeling you talked about of being almost a financial controller for small businesses, being on site with the businesses one day a week where they're getting the dynamics of how businesses work and being a part of that. They need to feel that reward for experience. Like when we fund a house, we see the house and people are in the house, they're excited about it. Like, could it be that the remaining people, because there's less people coming through, are wearing even more of the stress? So even the bigger paycheck's not going to mean much if they're just getting overwhelmed. They need to feel that sense of excitement and adrenaline and accomplishment, walking the ground of the businesses that they're a part of, and really feeling they need that invigoration around it. Otherwise, it becomes their order takers based on their intellectual capability. If you haven't got that front end emotive piece linked in, where someone's engaged to connect, then that's really challenging. And that's why Nick no doubt said no, because I'd be the same on that unless I had that piece. When I hear you talk about it, Jace, I go, yeah, you're advising companies on their dreams, on getting to that 20 million exit. Mate, I'd love to do that as an advisor. You go, that's fantastic. So what is that in a role that someone gets that thrill and understands what that thrill is for them and connecting with those business clients? If you can crack that code and take away, an AI might be able to take away some of the workload on the more the boring logistical stuff and get them engaging with people and feeling their level of support is making a difference out there. That is, I think, the signature piece. Is the answer. I'm not sure what that is and how you do it, but if that can be done, but that's where it needs to go. Otherwise, it's going to struggle.
Well, I think as an industry and anyone who is in the accounting industry, and then even not the accounting industry, just apply it broadly to business if you're in it, but nurturing your talent and nurturing people, I think is one of the biggest things, and finding ways to ensure we continue to look after our people, especially coming off the back of things like COVID and changing ways that workplaces work. And again, from an image perspective, some notes here on what Will talked about at Xerocon, but, being known as numbers people, like, my accountant does the numbers, but what does an accountant really do? And I shared those stories at the start to kind of more, again, get back to that financial storyteller vibe of, changing people's lives. We've talked about Ikigai in a previous episode, where it's kind of, what does the world need? What are you good at? What can you get paid for? And what do you enjoy doing? So, so to be able to work and support positive business owners to have a better impact, to be able to start using that language about what accountants are doing day to day is not just filing a tax return, but it's taking stress off somebody's shoulders so they could run their business better and maybe hire more employees and give more jobs. And when I think about small business, I think about the more than 50% of people in our country that are employed by a small business. So the better that our accounting industry can be, and the better our advisors and the technology that we're helping businesses, utilize, the better our economy and the better the country is overall. And I feel very passionate about all of this, which is why I kind of wanted to bring it up in an ep and just broadly talk about, how as a whole, as an organization, as an industry, we need to do better at promoting accounting for the great thing that it is. And it does change lives. And I think we need more good people to come and join us.
So, Jace, I'll put it to you as someone who's been in the industry for a long time. You've seen the back end of COVID now. Mm-hmm. So what is it that causes the stress? Is it clients being unorganised? Obviously you're doing things like BAS statements and lodging tax returns and PAYG, like payroll tax returns and stuff. Is what causes the stress? So I look at that and I say, well, okay, that's a task, just like we've got to do a task. It's not really a difficult task. It's looking at numbers and whatnot and lodging stuff. And I think from what I can see on the outside, from the outside in, is there is tech that is coming and that is making things easier. So what is it that causes the stress? Like, is it just purely a lack of, because there's a lack of people, because it's not seen as exciting, there's just too much work? Or is there other things where people go, it's all too hard? Am I making sense?
You are. And look, I'm trying to kind of think about how I could pinpoint a couple of things that would kind of nail that answer. the workload is huge and never ending in a sense of, quarterly BASs, monthly IASs, payroll, tax, bookkeeping, if you're doing bookkeeping, has the ongoing annual lodgements, tax planning. Like that's just the compliance side before you even get to advisory. And then when you've got more clients than ever needing help to get their business from, where it is now to where they want to be. So I think the volume of work is increasing more and more. And technology, while it helps, at the same time, you need somebody to help clients implement and train on that technology too. So there's another, vertical of work that didn't exist before of how to implement and use technology the right way. Shortage of people. So I think, every time you onboard somebody new, you've got, the onboarding, the training, the getting to know clients, the handover of knowledge and IP. There's a huge myriad of factors, but also the one of the ones would be business owners who aren't organised that dump all their crap onto their accountant and go, hey, I know this was due 3 months ago, but I need it done tomorrow because I've just bought a house, and they dump it on their accountant and then blame the accountant if something goes wrong. Oh, I got a fine from the ATO because this was lodged late. This is your fault. And so, well, hang on a minute, like we've been, so there's a lot of passing on of stress from business clients for sure, from clients in general. Heaps of different things, heaps of different factors.
What do you think, Jace? Like, what do you think would be the answer to make it more attractive? Like, is there something that runs through your mind?
Yeah, I think from an industry body point of view, I think back to when I was in high school and I saw like the CPA advertisements, and they talked about, it made being an accountant look sexy and cool, and they were dressed nice, they were driving nice cars, they were in the city, meeting clients, having coffees and social, like it looks social and fun and out there. I just think there's not I haven't seen anything promoting the new age of accounting, which is your zero. You've got t-shirt wearing tech people who look like they're working in the tech industry, rocking t-shirts, but they're actually accountants, doing all of the technology implementations for clients. It's a different world to what it was 10 years ago. And I don't think our professional bodies or the, universities or anything are doing a good job to kind of recognize the change in landscape and the shift in how we work these days. And the shift and changes are only getting faster and faster. And one of the other things is pay as well. I think as an industry, we've undercharged for what we do for a long time. I think back to 10 years ago, and the price of a tax return and a BAS isn't too far off what some firms are still charging today. They've kind of done the 2 or 3% fee increase year on year, and it maybe hasn't really kept up with times, which means if you're not charging accordingly for what you do, you can't pay your team market salaries and above to keep the good people working with you. So, yeah, I mean, that'd be another big one too.
Are you losing people to a particular industry, or it's just general?
No, look, fortunately, we're one of the fortunate ones. We haven't lost too many people because we do go above and beyond, to look at what is the market salary, how can we make sure we're remunerating our team, so within the salary band that makes sense. We can't go too crazy. But, I mean, we had just over a year ago, we had 2 of our admin team, and our admin team are quite well known for, just being exceptional. Their response times, you guys that experience it, you ask for a tax return or a notice of assessment, bang, you've got it back within minutes. Our admin team are exceptional people. They're all amazing. But just over a year ago, we had 2 of them quit within a week. And I went, whoa, where did that come from? What happened? And they both went, we're getting out of the accounting industry. The volume of emails and phone calls and the ATO, they're always chasing debts from people, and it's negative and nasty. They went, we just can't do it anymore. And one of them went to work, I think, at a doctor's surgery, just doing admin and calendar bookings. She was happy doing that kind of admin client services role. And another one went into the hotel and hospitality industry. She wanted to work at hotels on her feet. She didn't want to be sitting on her butt behind a computer all day.
I've got the solution.
Yeah, go on.
It's money.
Money.
It's money. It is, because, again, we have all the same challenges in regards to work level stress, 40 bags, 4,000 different policies. Work's challenging, but you're compensated for your efforts. The harder you work, the more you're remunerated, as well as enjoying, people getting homes and everything else that we talked about earlier. But I think if if there's a solution there where, and I think accountants are well placed to be able to create something like a What Works small business program, that's generating revenues in different ways. The same with scaling your business, to that next level. We've talked about that on previous podcasts where there's a huge lack of education in the business community to be able to help this fail rate on businesses turn around to be the opposite way. We want 4 in 5 businesses succeeding, not the other way around, with 1 in 5 or 2 in 5 succeeding. So there, I think accountants can play a really huge role. Now, huge logistical infrastructure, program design and everything. But I think you, as a trusted advisor, you guys are actually best placed to take that on board, and people can play a part in that, in the delivery of that, which then means higher revenues coming into the business, and then also higher pay to accountants, then bringing more and more of those businesses on, because then you have the referral impact of my business has improved because I've been working with Future Advisory. Now they are at the moment anyway, working with Future Advisory, but this is like a proactive way to be able to find more opportunities in and then get more revenues in on top of the accountancy fees, and then literally, be able to pay people at a premium level that other firms aren't thinking about. Now, you're probably, like I said, the thing you love, Jace, is you're already doing that. Whether that reflects in what you charge or not might not be there just yet, but you're already doing that to that next level. So it's like, how do you then create that for the employees to be able to do similar things that has an impact, and they feel that real drive and excitement of these businesses growing with them, and they're getting compensated for that growth as well. So that would be, if that could be cracked, people say they're stressed in anything they do. There's stresses in any role, but if you're not compensated for that in some way that's fulfilling, that's where it fails. And that seems to be, to me, the gap that I see at the moment.
Yep.
So, yeah. But that's just my personal read.
No, I definitely agree with that, Marty. And for existing accountants out there, that's definitely the challenge and the shift in where they're going if they're already in the industry. And I think then the next challenge is getting more accounting students into universities and studying accounting, because it is a viable career that can be enjoyable if, and again, it's what you turn it into. And I'm hoping that, maybe one day somebody listens to this and thinks, you know what, maybe I do want to be an accountant. Maybe it's not as bad as all the stuff I've heard. And I did a quick survey of a few of the team in the office and asked them to message me why they became an accountant, and just brought up one of them. One of the guys was brought up in small business, a family running small business. They weren't supported enough by their accountant at the time, and thought it might be the same for many small business owners. So wanted to change the stigma of the traditional accountant who just gives you a tax bill once a year. About my job, that anything that's business related, not just tax, so helping a business owner talking about business, providing real value to a business owner by helping them grow personally and professionally. And I've got a really cool boss. So, that just noticed that one down at the bottom. So that's why he loves his job. But no.
Jace, you changed my perspective of the accountancy industry when I first met you and you were starting what you were starting, in your heart and soul around what you wanted to do in regards to advice and support businesses coming through at a whole different level. Like, to me, the accountancy piece, when you spoke about it, was an important component, but it was really where you were taking businesses that got me excited about, accountancy again. So I go, and to me, I always come back to look at the numbers, look at where the problem points are with businesses failing, at a certain level. How can that be overcome? And that's government support to accountants and business owners in implementing plans to be able to support at a new level. And I go, there's an opportunity there to really support small business here and actually make it cool, because it is cool if it's approached in the right way. And it's I think what's the biggest pain point, and this is what generally happens in industries, the biggest pain point can be the greatest opportunity if it's thought through at a different level. And that's the challenge, I guess, the industry's going through. But there'll be a way. It's just Jace, you're going to have to be the one to find it.
I'm gonna start going out to universities one by one, talking to these students, or actually high schools. I've got to get them before they get into uni, don't I? So, all right, book anyone out there, any high school principals, book me for upcoming presentations to your year 11, year 12, year 10. I don't know what age you want me to get them at, but we want young people that have purpose-driven kind of decision making. They want to help small business owners have better lives. So send me their way so I can get them convinced to join the accounting industry.
Love it, Jace. You're all over it.
Well, guys, it's definitely been another awesome season. Thank you for hearing me whinge about the accounting industry and how it's actually better than it seems to be. We need to get more people in. And, guys, I'd love it if you guys were accountants too. You guys are good people doing good things, and that's what it's all about. So thank you for another epic season, Nick and Marty, and to all of our listeners out there, thank you for continuing to tune in, like, follow, share, engage with us on LinkedIn. If you haven't subscribed and followed our Spotify and Apple and wherever else you get your podcast, please do so you can continue to get updates when the season comes back into action. We've absolutely loved doing this. Always remember you can reach out to us, hello@thenumbersgamepodcast.com.au, and we're always willing to bring in your questions to an upcoming episode. Until next time, Nick, Marty, anything additional you lovely gents want to add?
Oh, just if you ever stuck, man, I'm happy to balance a few ledgers. Just send them across. Can't be that hard.
And if you are an accountant, we don't want to listen to Jace widget to us. So, just for goodness sake, ring him. He's paying the big bucks, and, he's ready to work with you to take your career to a new level. So until next season, thanks for listening. Game over.